Bronco, you mentioned before that after a loss, you have a great opportunity to teach. Did you find that the last 48 hours?
Oh, it's been invaluable, and so not quite finished teaching on a short week with as much practice as we had to get done. I was allotted basically a 10-minute team meeting, went for about a half hour, and that didn't even come close to saying what I wanted to say. So we'll squeeze as much in as possible before we play Thursday. But there is urgency with the players, there's urgency with the coaches, and they're motivated, which is difficult to teach without someone that wants to be taught. And from what I saw today, they want to be taught, which is good.
Can you summarize what you did say to them and what maybe the biggest problems were from the Utah State game?
I'm not sure that I'll share what I summarized. In terms of what problems there's certain things we certainly can work on. There was a stretch at the end of the second quarter. We made 3 or 4 critical mistakes, or three or four mistakes in a short amount of time, with basically an offsides and a PAT field goal attempt, a long PAT field goal. And then a fumble, and then an immediate score, and then actually one more score. So there was this period of time there I think we lost our concentration, didn't play good pass defense, but basically just didn't maintain our focus. And the entire stretch, within that stretch, Taysom got hurt. So that about 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes before halftime. And then I thought the players responded pretty well in the second half, but there's a resiliency factor. With turnovers, with short fields, with concentration, but in basically just discipline that I think they could handle a little bit better.
More concerned with your corners or the inability to get the pressure on Garrett?
In that particular case, 2 of them were drop 8, which means that they were pass calls with 3-man pressure against, one was a 1-man route and one was a 3-man route. And so 3 against Max Pro, but also known we're dropping 8 with the intent for the ball not to go over. So that's more concentration and discipline rather than ability.
How much more involved will you be with the defense this week?
Not much more. My intent is to continue to mentor, continue to advise, to continue to support both Robert and Nick as best I can, and then be a resource where I'm needed and when I'm needed. But man, I like what they're both doing. They're trying really hard. Especially now with Taysom being out, I had been spending most of my time, I'd been spending all my time with the offense. With Taysom being gone, to say that that influence isn't needed, I still think there's value there. But I still want to be there for Nick as well, so I think that's just the role of a head coach right now.
How would you describe your team's previous dependence or level of dependence on Taysom Hill?
Oh, I think there was a level of confidence. I wouldn't say dependence. And confidence meaning that no matter what the situation, while Taysom's in, he'll pull it down and make 2 guys miss and do a hurdle and run for whatever. He'll scramble his way to a first down. He'll put his head down and get us a first down. So there's always just a confidence that we'll never be out of the game. What happens now and what I shared or what I've thought is that the team simply has to execute at a higher level. Taysom is gone. One player does not make a team, even though Taysom's a fantastic player, but the execution of all positions within their assignment, within their technique, that has to improve and improve right now.
Can you give us updates on Alani Fua, maybe even Kearsley, a couple of those
ankle
sprains?
All I've been told right now is they're high ankle sprains, and whatever probable, hopeful, doubtful, I don't know. And so you can check with our trainers on that, and I'm not sure where they're going to be.
Do you know much about Taysom's injury to elaborate on exactly?
I don't know the exactness of it, other than it was 2 hours worth of surgery, 1 plate, 8 screws, every major ligament shredded, so significant. And I'm not even sure, I don't have any of the exact procedural things, other than when they knew it was bad, but when they got in it was worse.
How concerned are you with just the lack of a pass rush the last couple of games?
I'd love to see more pressure on the quarterback. I'd love to see him throwing it without a bunch of time. This particular game was one where Utah State on 4 different occasions, most of them double moves, out and ups, slant and goes, post corners. 4 of them were Max Pro. 2 of them were 1-man routes, and the other 2 were 3-man routes. And so they had a nice job and plan in place. The rest of the balls really for the past 3 weeks, I would say, have been thrown on time. But I'm still not happy with the number of hits we're getting on the quarterback, even if it's not sacks.
Once you had a chance to look at the tape of Christian Stewart, what maybe good did you see and what bad did you see?
He tries really hard, which is exactly what we knew he would. He knows the offense well. He looked confident, and like many quarterbacks in that situation, he pressed. And so trying to do a little bit too much, but I actually took it as a positive thing because he was aggressive.
How do you settle him in for this upcoming game? Make sure he's settled.
Just
in ready
practice.
for
I mean, we have one more day. So, practice, reps, and then experience.
Hey, Bronco, what can you do to find a little bit more pressure?
So there's a couple of things. The players aren't changing, meaning that there's not a draft or there's no free agency, but there are some options of different guys in different spots, and also being a hair more creative in terms of identifying and being sure where the protection is, where it's going to go, and then sending pressure appropriately versus the protection. So you want to make sure you're going the correct direction. I think we can do a better job that way.
Considering UCF will have had maybe 2 full extra days of practice, you'll travel, new personnel, does this equate to any similar challenges you've faced in your career that you think of in terms of, wow, it's really up against us right now?
It's a killer opportunity. I'm kind of invigorated by it, actually, and I like the challenge. Maybe the last time would be TCU had a bye week before, and we had a Thursday night game, and we were coming off a Saturday game going down to Fort Worth to play.
With John Beck?
With John Beck. That's as close. There wasn't a quarterback change, but in terms of a quick turnaround, or maybe the challenge that laid ahead, that was similar. But this is a different team, different set of circumstances, and man, it'll be an amazing challenge, but also a good opportunity.
Coach, can you evaluate how Nick Howell's done with the defensive coordinator?
Oh, I think he's trying really, really hard, and there's no one that's outworking him, no one that's out researching him, no one that's out preparing him, and it simply takes time. I remember being a defensive coordinator coming here from New Mexico, and on Thursday night, Colorado State scored 52 on us, and I'll never forget that. And sometimes it just takes a little time to find the experience to fit all the right situations with given personnel, and I'm encouraged by what he's doing. And it's not a finished product, but I like the direction. But we can certainly play better. We all know that.
Coach, after the loss the other night, some former players on social media said that BYU doesn't want to beat the in-state rivals as much as they want to beat BYU, and that needs to change. Is that valid criticism?
Not the way I see it. I want to win every game, regardless of who we play. And I think the thought that based on where a team is from, that now you're going to try harder or prepare harder, I don't know how to do that. I try as hard as I can for every single game. To say now I'll try harder because when you try as hard as you can no matter what does that mean? And so I think it's a complete misnomer and a complete exaggeration, and quite frankly, I'm disappointed if it came from anyone that's been here since I've been the coach.
What do you see from UCF?
Physical, tough, athletic, and really well coached. From a year ago, they are schematically and program-wise, you already know they're successful, can be successful based on last season. Had a phenomenal quarterback, but now when you look at just, again, how they're coached, the athletes they have, and they're a good program. So, yeah, I like the matchup.
Do you think they'll bring more pressure to try and get, rattle Christian, or do anything different because of the, circumstances?
Not many teams try to pressure what we do because there's so many option-type principles, and if you come after them, the chance for big plays are big. We haven't seen much pressure all year, actually, and I don't expect that to be any different.
Last question.
Is this going to be the best defense you think you've faced this year? I think
hard to say.
range-wise they are.
Hard to say. I like their personnel. I like their front four. I like their both interiors. And so, yeah, I mean, we scheduled it for a reason. Last time they came here, I forget when that was, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, anxious to go and play them on their home turf. And really, with this particular team under these circumstances, I'm excited for us to see. I'm excited for this team to kind of have to rely more on each other and have it be maybe more unified in terms of contribution for us to be able to have success. All right, thanks.
Yeah, see you.